Hey there guys and girls, and welcome back to a course on Tableau. In our previous session, we dragged in some sheets and did some sizing comparisons to see how dashboards work in general. In this session, I want to go into a little bit more detail into how these sheets actually come into a dashboard as well as how they interact with one another. So let's go ahead and go over that really quickly. Now, the way that we saw to bring in dashboard sheets is to go ahead and drag them into areas, right? And you will see that Tableau will automatically size them according to the number of sheets that are within the dashboard. Another way to do it is to go ahead and double click an individual sheet. So if I was to select this container for profits by cities and click this X to remove from the dashboard, and if I was to use our sales over time container and click X to remove this from dashboard, we now have removed all the sheets. If I was to double click the sales over time, the geographical sales, the sales field map, and the profits by city, we automatically see that Tableau generated this view for us automatically. And it's smart enough to build it in a way that it all looks pretty good. Now Tableau automatically also brings in any legends, filters, as well as parameters that are used on these sheets individually. So for example, if I was to look at my sales over time sheet, I can see that there's a category legend here, which dictates the various types of categories on color. You can see furniture, office supply, and technology. We can see that those are automatically brought in as legends. Now the sales on size is a legend that belongs to our geographical sales. So if I was to go to my geographic sales sheet, I should see our sales on size, and I should also see our profits on color, which will also come from the geographic sales. So if I was to go to my sheet by go ahead and clicking the container and the second option down to go to the sheet, I can see that the sum of profit on color exists as well as the sum of sales on the size, if you remember creating those. The other thing we have is our sales field map, which shows us the actual different states as well as sales figures for those states, and we can see that the legend is also present for that. Now if you want to remove any of these legends and you feel like they're not necessary, you can simply go ahead and click the actual container for that legend, so category for example that's coming from sales over time, and go ahead and click the X on the top right hand corner, which removes it from the dashboard, and we can see that it is now gone. But if you wanted to bring it back, you can go ahead and click the container for that sheet. You can click this down arrow for more options, and you can go to legends and add that legend since that is an option, because the category legend already exists within the sheet since we put the category on color. And we can see that our category legend is now back. So that's basically how filters and other things are brought into dashboards. The other thing that you can do in Tableau for dashboards, which are actually the most important feature, is to use sheets for filtering. Now what does this mean? Basically what it means is that anytime you interact with a sheet in Tableau, you can obviously see the data for that sheet, right? But in a dashboard, you can actually take these sheets and have them interact with other sheets to answer further questions. So the way that you can do that, for example, is to show the sales over time and have it impact the rest of these dashboard worksheets. You can go ahead and click the sales over time container, and the third option down, which is use as filter, go ahead and click that. And now what you've done is you've created a link between all the different sheets on the dashboard and this one worksheet. So if I was to click an order date here for the sales over time for 2017, we'll go ahead and select this technology category figure here. We can automatically see that our sales field map has now changed, our profits by city is now changed, and so is geographical sales. You'll also notice that the legends reflect these numbers as well. So what we've done here is we've taken the technology category for 2017, and now these various sheets are only going to reflect that data. So all of these sales figures for the different states are only from this technology 2017 period, which refers to this 271 sales figure. Same with New York City. Our profits by cities showing in descending order from highest to lowest profits for this number here. We will see that New York City took over with 12,978 in following for largest profits by cities, and under that came Seattle. And over here we had our sum of sales on size for our geographic sales, as we see here, and we can see that reflected. New York City has a big green circle, Seattle has a smaller circle, Newark, and so forth. Alright guys, so that's basically how filtering works in Tableau. The final concept here that I would want to hit home here before we move on is that of objects. Objects in Tableau are simply different configuration tools that you have. Alright, what we did was we manually dragged in sheets and we clicked on them, right, to create our dashboard. Let's go ahead and see an example of what an object is. All of these different containers that are containing these sheets here are the ones that are used within our dashboard, right? Objects in Tableau are basically ways that you can customize your dashboard. So let's go ahead and remove these sheets from here. All right, go ahead and click the X mark. Or what you can also do instead of that is to click the outer edge here and see how it highlights. You can go ahead and clear the entire dashboard by hitting delete on this here, and that will clear it out for you. Basically, objects will help you guide your way through your dashboard creation process. The very first object here, which is horizontal, let's go and drag that in. And what that means is that anytime we drag sheets into this area now, they're going to be configured horizontally. So let's go and drag these sheets in by double clicking sales over time, sales field map, geographic sales, and profits by city. And we can see that all of these different sheets are now in horizontal configuration. They're no longer in that 4-square method where we had 4 quadrants, each with their individual sheets. And we can see that the legends obviously came in with them in a horizontal fashion and that they have their own column here. All right, so let's go ahead and remove this here by clicking the end of this main container, clicking X, and we will delete the entire dashboard here. Let's go ahead and drag in a vertical container. And if you figured out the horizontal container, the vertical container is actually very easy to understand as well. And all you can do is basically sales over time, sales field map, geographic sales, profits by city. And now you have a more stacked vertical method of that exact same dashboard. Notice how we didn't drag anything in. All we did was simply tell Tableau that I want to use a vertical container by dragging that into that dashboard, and then we clicked our sheets to see that come to life. Another thing that you can do is you can add text into your dashboard. So if you have a title and you want to add another piece of information, you can totally go ahead and add that. So if we were to go ahead and add some text and say, this is a dashboard, and click, go ahead and make this pretty. Let's make this a little bit bigger, bold it, give it a nice color and make it orange, and make it center. We can go ahead and click OK, and we see that this is a dashboard is now at the top. And this will obviously be something that reflects whatever that you are designing. The next object is images, and it works exactly just like a text object in that you drag in an image object and it will prompt you to bring in an image into your dashboard. Another thing you can bring in are web pages. Now, web pages are one of my favorite types of objects to bring in. It really hits home in terms of an advanced dashboard because it gives your users the ability to visit a website. And you can make it something as simple as google.com. So if we were to bring in a web page here and we were to drag it in, let's go ahead and add a URL, we'll add google.com, to give our users the ability to research our information that we've given them. We can see that we now have google.com as a website, and you could totally go ahead and arrange this in another way, drag it anywhere you'd like to really create a pretty cool interface for your users. The next type of interface that we have here that we can bring in as an object, we'll go ahead and remove this web page here, is a blank box. Blank boxes in Tableau are very important because they allow you to configure your dashboard in a way that might not otherwise be possible. And what do I mean by that? When you create a vertical or horizontal container, you'll often see that your worksheets come in a very modular fashion. But if you want to customize that fashion further, you can drag in a blank box, for example, here. And what you've now done is you've further created some room for yourself to add something in. So remember that website that we brought in and looked all weird? Let's go ahead and bring that web page in again and drop it right here into our space. So if we were to drop this into this gray area and call this www.google.com, we now have created an area for our web page as well as having our sales over time. And since we didn't have the blank box there before, we were unable to see this entire web page in one area. Now that we've created that blank container and brought in our Google web page, we have now made room for it by moving these sheets to the side. We can go ahead and take our blank container, we can delete it, and what this will do is it will expand our Google web page. And what this does essentially is it tells Tableau that, hey, I want to put something else here rather than that vertical or horizontal container that you've created for me. And the final object that you can use within a dashboard is that of extensions. And those work exactly the same. You can just drag them in and you can finally bring in any web applications or extensions that you want to work with your dashboards in Tableau. All right. So that's basically it, guys, in terms of how dashboards are designed. And I think we've covered quite a bit in this. So what I want you to do is to take your worksheets and create your own custom dashboard. Go ahead and bring in some legends, go ahead and bring in some titles, maybe add a web page or two, put some pictures, some text, make this thing look really, really cool. All right, that's all I'm going to cover for now in this session, and I will see you in our next session.